You are now entering the LuxCore Studios. And you've secured a seat for the Protecting Your Radius podcast. Here, we build connections from your contracting profession to some of the top bleeding edge products and services. Don't get deterred. Let's not delay. Here is your host, Nathan Downs.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Protecting Your Radius podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Downs, and on today's episode, I have something pretty special, especially for your younger guys out there in the business, looking to grow, looking to come up with some ideas on how do I get more work, specifically on the commercial side. How do you start to develop some new opportunities on commercial if you're in it, if you're wanting to get in, if you're wanting to grow in that space? I have a proven system, a proven idea and technique that may be able to help some of you guys out there. So before I get into that, I'm going to pull a Dan Wheeler this show and talk about a number of different things that have been going on over at Radius, Gate and Fence Company out here in Bixby, Oklahoma. And first and foremost, within a week here, in no time, we are going to have AFAU University down in Dallas, Texas. Signups have still been floating around and all that stuff. If you check the show notes, there's a link to get in there. You can still apply. You could still register to get into the schools. I believe the sales training school and also FIS, which is the field installation school, are still have available openings. So check that out. If you've got new guys in the field, if you got new guys in your business that you really want to teach them some really solid ideas and get some investment from them, I think there was someone talking about this a couple weeks ago, that sending your team and investing in your team. I read a book too, I want to say during the pandemic, where it was talking about investment in your team, how investing dollars for their self-improvement, especially professionally, gives them a level of buy-in that they may have not had before if you've never done anything like that. So if you send them to local leadership training schools, there's a lot of like Global Leadership Summit, Entree Leadership. There are a lot of different things going on throughout the year around everybody's cities across the United States, but there's like telecast opportunities like that. But what's great about AFAU and things like Fence Tech and the Fence Show and all these places is it allows you to get industry-specific information and training from leaders in various regions throughout the country. As Dan Wheeler talks about on the Fence Industry Podcast, there's tips and tricks that someone in California or Oregon would use that maybe someone in Canada or someone on the East Coast out of the New England area or down in Florida. We all do things completely different, but at the end of the day, we're all building the same products, if that makes sense. So, check that out. Show notes has more information about that. Let's talk about a couple of the other partners of the show real quick. As always, old LuxCore and Fence Track. I've got my sample box here that I keep in the studio looking at the new LuxCore composite. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me holding some of this stuff. An aluminum extruded ribbed infill inside of the capstock composite. This thing is expensive, but it is the premium solution, premium board that I've ever seen. It's literally like buying 3 fences in one. So if you think about this, you've got the Fence Track frame system, which is steel, powder-coated steel. You've got the LuxCore system, which is an aluminum extrusion inside of a composite picket. And all of that goes in one. So you're buying a steel fence, an aluminum fence, and a composite fence. But what do you get for that? The first fully maintenance for lifetime, forever and ever, unless you have an act of God, maintenance-free, beautiful-looking fence system. There's some aluminum ones that are going to last a long time. There's some, composite ones that'll last a long time. There's vinyl ones that last a long time. All these things are great, but the LuxCore within the Fence Track is the first one I've seen that really integrates the steel system. And that's why they have a patent on it, but integrate that steel strength and durability with all the aesthetic things. And now with Brett and his team having this composite available, man, it's just another level of stuff. I placed a bunch of orders this past week over with my buddies Jerry and Kyle at Southwest Automated Security. I brought them onto the show when I started this originally, talked to Southwest Automated Security about partnering with us with everything, just because they're like, I loved my relationship that I developed with them and the entire organization over the years. I buy almost 98% of my access control and operator type stuff today from Southwest Automated Security. They have gate operators. They have hardware for gates. They have everything you can think of. We've built multiple Duragate style gates, which are those like the high motion from Italy that came over many years ago. It's got that C-channel rail, and it's got the big truck assemblies that you can pad mount or post mount. All those, we buy that kind of stuff from them. We buy our operators, our remotes, our call boxes. All these different things come from Southwest Automated Security. So the great thing about them, if you don't have an SAS in your local market, they will ship anywhere. So get on their website, southwestautomated.com, check it out, see all the branches. We've got links over to them too in the show notes. Definitely take a look at them. My wall, if you're watching YouTube today, you see a different camera, different setup here. The wall here is my WoodDefender wall. There's 4 different colors of WoodDefender stain on these tongue and groove pickets that sit behind me. We've used WoodDefender since the beginning. They've been around for forever. Standard Paint, just a great company. The whole team down there, Roy is our rep. Deal with him as much as we need to. We buy our WoodDefender almost exclusively from Master Halco and then another local distributor here in the Tulsa area. But we've been going through a lot of it. I'm sure a lot of you guys have gotten a staining or are looking at staining. The pre-stained like wave is absolutely taking off. And I would bet, I think maybe 1 in 4 jobs right now we're selling is pre-stained. People are just adding this on, just looking at trying to make their wood fence just a little bit better. And because we don't deal with the treated fences here at my company, using steel posts, using Western red cedar, all these different things, we're already trying to provide a value and a product that has a longevity of a certain level, if that makes sense. So pre-staining this and getting all that wood covered on all sides. So that way, when they come back in a couple of years, they can just reapply the stain on the fence and that thing's going to look awesome and continue to preserve that wood. We've had a ton of success with that over the years. And as you all know, we run all of our WoodDefender pre-stain through the StainTrack system. Staintrack.com. You can get that. You guys have seen it. You guys know about it. There's other systems out there right now that are all manual. You got to pick up the buckets and do all these different things. Sure, that's one way to do it. You can make a dip tank like Joe Everest, fence expert, and some of these guys have done. That's another way to do it. You could be like Binford Supply down there in Balch Springs, Texas, and they have a whole conveyor belt system that goes into a dunk tank and a drip system. Sure. That's another way to do it. But of all these options, years ago when I saw the StainTrack system and we started filming it and looking at it and actually using it, StainTrack, the footprint that it has, the way that it does it, it's a no-brainer if you want to get into this on a large scale, because it allows your time of effort and energy in a small amount of space. We're very limited at Radius on our space. Those of you that have been to our shop have seen that. We're doing a large volume out of very, very little space. So things like the StainTrack system, like doing the staining like that, is really one of the only ways that we can continue to produce the volume we can without a lot of resources here at the shop and stuff. So, all of that being said, we got that out of the way. Pulled the Dan Wheeler. How long did it take? Oh, good. I beat Dan Wheeler's time by quite a bit. Let's talk about commercial. Let's talk about how do you develop the leads? Because I had somebody call a couple weeks, maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they were saying, hey, I want to expand on what I'm doing commercial-wise, what I'm doing B2B, business to business, and I don't really know where to start. And there's a system that I learned many years ago called the Dream 100. And basically what the Dream 100 is, anybody that wants to go through this exercise, I think it's really valuable. Whether you're a brand new company, you've been around for a handful of years, or you've been around for decades, is take the time, get a piece of paper, write 100 slots or whatever. And I want you to write down the top 100 customers that your company would like to have. Or if you're in sales or whatever, who are the top 100 people that you would like to sell to? And be thinking about that on the level of, that's why you can't really do this residential, right? Because a lot of people are just calling you. But think about it on the level of, who do I want to interact with on a day-to-day basis? Who do I want to get opportunities to do bids with whenever they arise? So my Dream 100, to put some context into this situation, my Dream 100 started with general contractors. So there's a handful of very large general contractor construction companies in our area that do work that I was aware of, right? I've seen their signs. I've seen the buildings they build. I always had this thought, like, that's a company that, like, I see that fence from a competitor, and I want it to be a fence that my team put in, right? That we did together. So those names were where I started. I want to say, I think I had 13 or 14 construction companies right off the bat that I was like, got to get in touch with these guys, got to do this. Then it started coming down to, what are the major industries in my area? So whether that's purely like so let's think different verticals within industry, so to speak. You've got manufacturing, you've got retail, you've got logistics, you got, healthcare, you've got school systems, you've got, so the municipalities, parks, recreational things, amusement parks, like you kind of get the idea, right? Like there's this long list, a whole litany of different things out there that you could be involved with, that would have interest to you. And that's where I put the next group on the Dream 100. I start writing down the names of the companies, the places where I would like to see a radius fence. I start pinpointing those exact ones and going through. An example of some of the industries locally that means something to me and I know would be awesome to partner with are like the Quick Trip Corporation, Walmart. We went through a whole different one. We have a lot of aerospace. So I went through like Boeing, Spirit, American Airlines. Funny enough, I've done work for all of those companies now, right? Because when I originally started using the Dream 100 a decade ago, they were on my list. So it was like on my radar to hit these people, to do these things. You could also go on Google, look at your local metroplex that you're closest to, and type like, what are the largest corporations? What are the largest companies? And it'll give you some other ideas there too. There'll be people that are like I think about a Dan Wheeler. He's right there. One of his key components to his business up there in Fulton, Illinois or Clinton, Iowa, would be the John Deere manufacturing plant, right? And then they have a couple different ones, but John Deere would be like on the top of his list, right? Because everybody knows it. The Quick Trip is a great one for us here because there's a Quick Trip on it. There's a Quick Trip, a church, a casino, and something else on every corner. Like you start seeing in a Walgreens, CVS probably. But every corner has a Quick Trip. I mean, it is wild. But, this is their world headquarters. This is where they come from. So it's important to know that you have to start thinking about those companies first. Then dive a little bit deeper. So you get through another list. I want to say I came up with another 20, 25 right off that. So I'm like, okay, I'm halfway through my list. I'm doing good. Well, now it starts to get a little bit harder because I don't really know. Then I went to search engines and I started really looking into, okay, who are companies that facilitate my top corporations, my top companies in my market that I want to work with? Suddenly you start seeing all these different ones like Aon, Whirlpool, Navistar, all these guys here in town that I'm aware of. Like, I know that they're there, but I never really thought about from a perspective of like, well, do I want them as a customer? Well, yeah, but how are we going to get there? Okay, that's the steps after. But I put their names on there because, again, I thought, who are the construction companies? Let's start there. Who are the big corporations, private corporations where I could get work from? Let's go there. who are the ones that support that. And then at the end of the list, start wrapping out different municipalities, different parks departments. If there's certain things, like we've got a giant water park here, I put that on my Dream 100 because I was sitting there thinking it would be so cool just to be able to go over there and with the kids and take them to go ride some slides and do the lazy river, and then be like, yeah, we put up all this fence around here, or we had to do these repairs over here, or did the gates in the back for the service, the service industry people working here, whatever that looks like, right? So now you write all these down, you get done, you have 100 names on the list. That's great. What do we do now, right? Yeah, Nathan, what do? I got 100 names on this list. I have no idea what to do next. Well, this is where a little old school networking comes into play. Now you have to figure out how you're going to get in front of these companies and how you're going to create a relationship. Unfortunately, very often today, especially in fence and gate, because we're at the bottom of the spectrum, the bottom of the barrel for many trades, that's how it used to be. But people are starting to think more about the aesthetics of their security, the desire. I was working with, we're working with the Salvation Army right now on a whole security suite opportunity around one of their major sites here in Tulsa, because they didn't have someone that was readily available to really have some deep discussions with the decision makers at the corporation and the company, and then also the people that are paying for it, right? Because we can all dream up, we want a 6 foot tall, or, let's say an 8 foot tall Invincible style, Ameristar fence. The Invincible is the one with the curved top, right? Kind of looks like a 7+1, but I want this and the 1-inch pickets and the industrial grade. And, it's only going to cost, $800,000 to put in. And they're sitting there going, that's great. And then they get to the CFO or the controller, and they go, we're not spending that money on that fence. Like, I know that's what you want, but we're not spending that money. It has happened many, many times. But because I know these things and I'm aware of that now, start having those conversations, getting involved with the right people up front, understanding budgets, talking about budgetary options, and really running down that, doing a little more legwork on the front with the commercial side, understanding that that's only going to make you more successful on the back end because they remember who was the one that made the recommendations, talked about a budget, and then established that and built that out from there. We have done, oh my gosh, I would say probably once or twice a year over the last several years. I've closed multi-6-figure contracts on the negotiated commercial. Tony Thornton, you like that? Negotiated commercial side of the business, specifically because of the recommendations I make and how I approach it, like how I think about it from their end. Again, we're as salespeople, as designers, we're problem solvers, right? So I'm sitting there going, how can I solve this problem for these people? What are they having? Do they have transients? Are they having break-ins? Are they trying to protect certain assets on their property? Are they just trying to keep a secured environment? You have to ask all these questions and figure that out. So you're thinking about getting commercial. You did your Dream 100, but you don't know if you're ready for that. You need to learn more. When I think commercials, like commercial bids, commercial bidding and all that stuff, it really starts with, if you want to get into bid work and the meat and potatoes, day-to-day stuff, that goes out to your construction companies, your general contractors in your area, right?
For over 30 years, Southwest Automated Security has been the premier provider of gate operators, access controls, CCTV, and so much more. Visit southwestautomated.com today, taking dealers to the next level.
So how do you get... They're on my Dream 100. Like I said, my first 12 were construction companies. Well, how do I have them interact with me? You actually get in your car or truck, you drive to their office, you walk in the front door and say, hi, my name is Nathan Downs. I'm with Radius Gate and Fence Company. We're a local subcontractor looking to pick up work on fences and gates and stuff. I'd love to be put on your bidders list. And I brought this box of cookies. Or this, some donuts. I brought the front desk lady some flowers. I mean, there's so many different things, right? Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah, we'll get your name on the list. You got a business card with a with an email. Yep. Here you go. And that's all you do. Now, some people will be like, I mean, you don't have to do that. Here's the thing though. You do that once, then you go back. And this is where the Dream 100 really starts to take effect. And you can really start to see some ground being made, especially for you younger people listening to this that need that next step, that don't have the experience and haven't been in the marketplace for a long, long period of time. So it's very natural to hear these things. But I find that I've been doing these subliminally because I was trained on this 20 years ago, that now that I'm trying to do it, it's like so easy. Like it's just like getting on a bicycle, hop on that bicycle, a little wobbly at first. And the next thing you know, I'm doing tricks, at 40, hey, jumping off curbs and doing all the stuff I did when I was 6. But you take them donuts the first time. You meet the gatekeeper, the person at the front desk. Then you go back in a week or two. Hey, they'll start sending you bids, and if there's opportunities, they may have you pre-qualify, get your stuff together. The basics of any business. You got to make sure, if you're going to be getting in commercial, you got to make sure that you have your general liability insurance, your workers' comp insurance, your maybe an umbrella policy, if need be, your auto commercial insurance. And then the next steps would be, you're going to need a W-9. You're going to need to make sure that you've got OSHA log 300, some of those different things in place, ready. It's always better to have this stuff up front. So when you get a project and they start asking for all these things, you're not going, what are they talking about? Because it'll feel that way. It can be very daunting and overwhelming if you haven't done this stuff before to really do that. I'm going to go back because of the time and season. We're back to normal business levels. It's not pandemic craziness and stuff. There are many of you that need to, that was swallowing. We're going to swallow our pride, and we might approach one of the owners of one of the other fence companies that's really big in our area, or it's been around for a long time, that looks like they have their stuff together, that you kind of know they have their stuff together. Might be the time to go have a conversation with them about, hey, listen, I'm going to be a competitor. This is my dream to do this. However, I might be willing, because I don't have any work or work slowed down so much, to come work for you for a year or two to learn some more things so I can be a good competitor out in the market instead of a bad competitor. You'd be surprised. Some people may be open to that. If they're of the age and they're interested in that stuff, some people might tell you, I'd rather see you fail and go out of business and go get a job. But whatever that answer is, if you did go work for a company that's been established, how much easier would it be to learn the hard things on someone else's dime than have to stick your own neck out? And when you get into the commercial space, we were working on, I forgot one of the most important parts is bonding. I'm currently working on bonding right now, getting my bonding line straight and stuff. And there's so many little hurdles because of some past life experiences that I had that I'm still having an issue with my bonding. And I've done this for 17 years. You know what I'm saying? So good luck if you're 22 years old, and wanting to get into commercial and jam this stuff through. Or you're, it's not something that happens overnight, but it may make more sense, and probably more often than not for many people, to team up or subcontract or learn or work for one of the other companies in your area that could use someone with your drive, someone with your desire to make them some money, maybe to get things right on their ship. So then that way, as you both depart the port, when that tide is rising, you're all going up together instead of your ship having a gajillion holes and you're sinking and you're trying to shoot them down. I'm going down. I'm going to shoot them down too, or whatever. Right. So, so hopefully that kind of helps that first part. Make sure you have those things in place. Going back to the gatekeeper, I mentioned take something into the office or just drop off a business card the first time. Come back in a week or two, you get a solicitation. Go in. You're going to get a name with a solicitation. So imagine this. I go into I go into the construction company, ABC Construction. I walk in there. I see Mary Ann's at the desk. Well, hi, Mary Ann. How are you? I'm fine. Hey, Mary Ann. My name is Nathan Downs. I own Radius Gate and Fence Company out of Bixby. We're kind of new to the game. I've been in the industry for a while. So we've got a great team of installers and managers and stuff like that over at our shop. And we would love to start bidding some fence and gate work for you guys. Is there someone I need to talk to on that? Or can you take a business card and get me on the list for subs for Division 32 fencing? Some of you just said, what did he say? Division 32. Yeah, read a CSI spec. You'll understand. And they go, yeah, we're always looking for new subs. That sounds great. Do you have insurance? And okay, I already told you what you need to have. Yep, got all that stuff. Let me give you my card. Here's my email. Perfect. We'll put you in the system. Well, what's cool is you're in the system. One of the estimators plugs in their new project the next day. It sends out and it has fence. It's triggered on their end that it has fence. You'll get an RFP or request for proposal. And you see the RFP come in and you go, oh, or an ITB, which is invitation to bid. You'll get an RFP or an ITB and that'll come in your email. And you go, okay, cool. You start reading it. You're like, but it's going to say someone's name. It's going to say Colton. Oh, all right. So now the next week comes. I got 3 weeks to bid on this job, right? I look at the bid date. It says it's December 1st. Perfect. Go in there. Now I've got Colton's name and it says he's the senior estimator. You go in there with a box of donuts. Hey, good morning. Hey, I wanted to see if Colton had about 3 minutes here. I wanted to drop this off to him and introduce myself in person. I'm working on bidding the local school project. They got that high school football field that is getting the iron fence and also, yeah. Let me see if Colton's available. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Thanks, Mary Ann. Appreciate you. She calls him back there. Yeah, hey, I think he has a box of donuts out here or something. And Colton comes rolling out. What kind of donuts he got? Well, I almost stopped and got Krispy Kremes, but I figured you might be a guy of taste. So I got Hertz donuts and I got all the different kinds. And they're like, good Lord. And they know. Hertz donuts are not cheap. They're not Krispy Kreme. They are a little bit of an investment, but they see that, right? They're like, hey, that's cool. He's like, man, nobody's brought me donuts in years. Really? Well, that is because most everyone's been locked inside their homes for 3 years. No. And he goes, okay, well, man, I appreciate it, Nathan. Thanks for coming out and meeting me. Thanks for the donuts. It's a pleasure to meet you. And you say in passing, hey, man, we're really just trying to pick up and start a relationship with you guys. I know like this is a public bid opportunity. So you're probably going to take the lowest bidder and all those things. But I wanted to introduce myself so you knew who I was. So when I start asking you questions and everything, we know what each other looks like, a little more face to face. But on top of that, I know you guys have private jobs all the time that are bidding. And I would just love to just give you a shot. And the first couple jobs, man, we're really going to try to buy into your business and show some of these things so you can see the quality level that we have. And maybe we can start a long-term relationship off that. But, I just appreciate you coming out here and enjoy the donuts and stuff. Oh, yeah, thanks, Nathan. Appreciate you. And that's that. So you start planting seeds. You have to figure out how you're going to approach them. Many construction companies actually like the idea, believe it or not. If you're like, hey, I can help you out, I can hook you up on this first job or two because you're buying your way. It's no different than a distributor or a wholesaler that comes into our market and they don't have any business. And then all of a sudden they're in here selling product for cost or perceptive cost, right? And the wholesalers that have been here for a while are like, they're just buying your business. And you're like, sounds awesome. Sorry. I'm sure they won't buy my business forever, but for today, I'm going to give them a shot. Well, these suckers come in and do something and they do it crappy. I'm like, I don't care how cheap you are. If you can't fulfill my need for service and stuff like that, I'll never use you. But as I experienced years ago, There was someone that rolled in the marketplace, made a strong push, had awesome pricing and stuff, and it worked out for a long time. And we bought millions and millions and millions of dollars from this wholesaler because they came in and they bought the business, so to speak, but they had this desire, this want to, hey, we know we can provide a premium service for a great value. Give us a try. It won't always be this cheap, but enjoy it while it lasts. And by God, we did enjoy it while it lasted, right? Did I lower my prices on the other end? On a couple jobs I did, because there's always jobs where you're like, I know what my bottom line margin is, but I'm gonna tighten this thing up a bit because I want my name to be involved in that. And that goes back to the Dream 100. These things, you have to look at these and really understand your numbers before you can even get into this. Before any one of you decides that you want to do commercial, you have to make sure you understand what is your actual cost to do business and what does it cost to do a job. Every single person that doesn't do this up front and have some type of pro forma template or just a budget to understand, like, what are my costs and what does that overhead in reality look like? You're just doing it wrong. You have to have some idea. Very often, most business owners are anywhere from 5 to 7%. I forgot which book I read this in, but 5 to 7% off just on their overhead cost compared to the bottom line. Okay. So we use our company, $2 million a year. 5 to 7% is a lot of money. I mean, we're talking 6 figures of mistakes if I'm not paying attention to what we're doing. What's funny is, and when you're a startup, we don't have that data. I was listening to something again the other day from a couple years ago where Sean King, I don't know if it was from an academy or something, but Sean was talking specifically about how to figure out your costing. And I love to go back in time and listen to some of these things, especially things that you can find on YouTube before the pandemic, because there's a lot of really great nuggets in there that have changed, but they've altered. It's not a complete shift. It's always going to be a truth. Especially in accounting, accounting stays pretty consistent, but the way that we get in and out of it changes. I like my buddy Robert Whitaker, how he talks about, the base camps, right? And stuff when you're talking about the growth side and the scaling and all that stuff. But your costing is going to ebb and flow, and you have to figure out what that is. You have to look at the data that you have. If you have not been tracking your costs by QuickBooks, by some type of software system, or even Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets or pages on your Mac, it doesn't matter. But if you don't have a history of some type of overall cost of doing business for at least 12 months, do not get involved with commercial bidding projects, especially because you just don't have enough data to really understand how to bid these things. It is very easy. I took Donnie to his first bid opening the other day, and our bid for the project came in at $218,000. One of the other companies that I've known for a while, $215,000. The oldest company in town that's bidding the commercial job, $230,000. I felt pretty good. There's 2 more bids to be open. There was 5 bidders on this job. One of the up-and-comer companies in town, $195,000. Okay, they missed something, or they are operating on very slim margins, which, knowing the cost of the project, it's probably a margin thing. They're trying to keep things rolling and looking at a smaller margin. Okay, that's how they're choosing to do business. Then one of the other really established companies came in at $159,000. They definitely missed something. Something is wrong in that. When you're in a bid opening like that, the first thing I always think of, that's I told Donnie, I was like, well, they missed a lot on that job. So $159,000 is about what the total cost of the project is. So somewhere in there, they either have exclusions of things that needed to be included, or there was just several things missed. Maybe a whole swath of, looks like maybe a whole part of the iron fence, maybe on the inside of the project area was missed or whatever. I can tell these things by looking at the numbers because I've done this forever, right? But it just shows, what if you're new in this and you're the person that bids 159 and you then get called into the office of ABC Construction and they're going, Nathan, are you sure you didn't miss something? Because you're $50,000 cheaper than everyone else. No, I'm pretty sure I feel like I'm good. Let's go through it together. The GC's like, I don't have time for this. Yeah, I mean, okay, did you get this? You got that? Okay. I mean, it looks fine. So, all right, we'll write up the contract, I guess. And then had this happen. Funny, 10 years ago, had this happen. I just started, took over at a company. It was my second day, sent out a bid. They said, hey, will you check over this bid for your commercial estimator? Sure. He gives me the plans, and I said, that's all the fence. Like, that's the fence right here. It's on the east side of the property, connecting to the existing and stuff. Yep, that's the fence. Cool. GC's like, hey, you're $25,000 cheaper. Sounds problematic. Yeah, why don't I come meet before we sign the contract? Get over there. I said, so here's the fence. It's the east side connecting back. Yep. Yeah, that's the way I understand it too. Okay. So we don't have anything missed. I mean, $20,000, on a $25,000 job, $25,000 to $45,000 is a lot. And they're like, no, it looks good. Months go by. We show up to the job site. Superintendent pulls out the plans. He's like, yeah, cool. I said, all right, so we're starting here, going around there. We'll flag that with you and be done. And he's like, well, what about the 1,000 feet on the backside? I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, you got that 1,000 feet on the backside. I was like, dude, it ain't on the site plan. I don't know what you're talking about. No, it's on the grading plan. He flips over a couple pages, grading plan. Dadgummit, there's a fence on the backside. I go back to the office and I start yelling at the estimator. I'm like, are you serious? Like you literally missed 1,000 feet of fence. Well, what was funny was, guess who got in trouble for that? Me. Because I'm the manager, I get it. But there was no onus put on the estimator at that point. It was put on me because I was the one that signed off on the contract, gave the blessing and stuff. So you never know. These GCs don't maybe know everything. It may take until a super gets out there. So you've got to be able to understand and expect that there may be a situation like that you get yourself backed into that you never intended. That is part of commercial bidding. I went back. I talked to the owner of the construction company. I talked to the project manager. I tried to work this thing backwards, saying, hey guys, this isn't going to work. What are we going to do? And at the end of the day, they said, it's a lump sum contract. It's for a school system. You have to perform the work as, in full for this price. There's no change order. There's nothing that the school district has altered or changed. You're out the money. And they understood what that meant. I've never done another lick of work for that construction company, and I'm okay with that right now. But that's a real world story. And from someone like myself, where I actually know what I'm doing, but because there was a mistake, it wasn't caught. The GC wasn't on top of it to make sure that they really cared. They're like, hey, you guys have been in business for forever, whatever. I mean, it wasn't like me now. I would be deathly afraid if I was that, $50,000 under everyone else. I'd be going to the GC going, I have to have missed something. Like, what are we doing? How did we get here? Why, etc. So, trying to encourage to discourage those of you that want to do this on the commercial side, but it is not the end all be all. I was talking to one of my buddies the other day, and he said, it's amazing how everyone has this expectation. If you do residential fencing, that life will just be so much better on the commercial side. Life is, and that is just simply not the case. I would rather talk half of you out of doing commercial than getting into it, because it is difficult. It does take a high level of aptitude to stay on top of this stuff, to understand the semantics. I mean, you guys go to Fence Tech here in January out in Nashville, Tennessee, the January 22nd through 25th. Hey, by the way, little rewind here real quick. I wonder if I got the record scratch here. There you go. The hotels are selling out. The Omni's already sold out. The next one's almost sold out. We need to start finding places to stay. So if you're going, you need to get your plane tickets. You need to get a place to stay out there. We need to get these things under control because it is going to be fire. But one of the classes out there, besides my own, we're doing phase 2 of the STAR training for those of you that got a chance to see that last year. Reading blueprints. I think Tony Thornton is doing it again. He's done it for a couple years, but reading blueprints, understanding commercial bidding has been a class. I believe it will still be a class. You guys have to go to that because it'll give you so much. Again, drinking from a fire hose and you're going to go, this is for me. Like for someone like me, I was like, dude, I'm game. This is my jam. I love this stuff. And other people are going to go, I have no idea what they're talking about. And that sounds so hard, so complicated. Do I have the time to want to learn this stuff? Maybe I don't. And if you don't, that's okay. But going to commercial from residential is not the end all be all. Not every company has done that over time. I know too many companies that just do residential that are 8-figure companies moving to 9-figure companies, and a lot of the work they do are residential. It's all about how you set up your systems, how you set things up before you, and how you want to scale it. And that's where I want to finish this. I'm going to wrap this thing up, put a bow on it for today. You heard the Dream 100. You heard some ideas, some different things. We can get more into this. If you guys have questions, if you want me to talk more about this, we could definitely pick this back up because it is an exciting topic for me. I think it's a lot of fun. I may even do like some role playing. But like I said, wrapping it up, putting a bow on her. You're not going to believe it. I lost it. This is real. You can tell. Although I'm sitting here by myself, I have lost my clothes. We're not going to edit this out. This is real. It'll come back to me one day and I'll feed it up to you guys, but I think that's a good place to stop. I had something really profound. Well, we'll have to save it for the next episode. Cliffhanger this week, right? You guys hopefully be back next week. Maybe we'll try to start the show off with that thought that I just lost. Hopefully, we should be having a new team member come on board here within the next week or two. And I will be very proud to introduce that person soon. It's really going to be a game changer for Radius, and it's going to shake up the marketplace a little bit. So I'm excited about that, sharing that with all of you out there. And as always, if you guys have any questions, any comments, concerns, whatever, send those in. You can hit us up on any social media channel, radius_podcast, or email us at info@protectingyourradius.com. And as always, we appreciate you, each and every one of you listening, watching, for the few of you that watch, checking out our reels and stuff. Man, we're just excited and blessed to be able to share some insight, and hopefully you guys that are looking at the commercial stuff or getting into the commercial stuff, do the Dream 100. Let me know how it goes. Let me know some ideas that you come up with, because there's always so many different ways to interact with all these companies that we're interested in and reaching out to them. And then, like everybody says, make a plan and work the plan. I mean, that's the basics. So peace. We'll see you guys next week.
You've been listening to the Protecting Your Radius podcast from the LuxCore Studios in Bixby, Oklahoma. Thanks for sticking around, and connect with us and all of our partners at www.protectingyourradius.com. We want to thank our premier partners. LuxCore, the newest line of premium quality composite infill to slide into your fence track fence system. Frame your style today. Also, Stain Track, the world's first patented standalone stain machine. Utilizing flood coat technology, Stain Track covers boards, pickets, posts, and any type of dimensional wood you can think of. And what better way to use your Stain Track machine than to use the easy application WoodDefender family of stains? WoodDefender goes on easy and covers in one coat with no backbrushing. And of course, the true power of our show is you, the listener. Please rate and review our show on whatever platform you consume this content. Your 5-star likes and reviews help other contractors get the message that we all want to be better and do better. And in the construction world, we can never forget that before you can be great, you've got to be good. Before you can be good, you've got to be bad. But before you can even be bad, you've got to try.